risk parity investors. This is Justin from Risk Parity Chronicles with a brief tutorial about how to use the portfolio rebalancing spreadsheet. A little bit of the rationale. This is a version of what I use in real life, but the real version that I use has years of accumulated different things and bells and whistles. So what I've done is just simplified it, tried to get it to its core, do it how I probably should have done it in the first place. One of the advantages of this spreadsheet is that it tells you how to do both a complete and a partial rebalancing. A complete rebalancing is once you've made the decision to rebalance, you're rebalancing all of the assets in your portfolio to get them back to the original allocations. And a partial one is just where you're just buying or selling those assets that are either too high or too low. The way to use this spreadsheet is that you really only need to edit the first sheet. Other sheets, the other two, will be filled out using the data in that top one. So just need to worry about the first sheet only. Then you'll see the information in the complete or the partial rebalancing. You'll also only update what is in bold on that first page. It's very simple. You only have to enter the assets that you have, the desired allocation, and then your threshold. So very few things to enter, and once you've entered them in once, you would just have to update them with the new shares after you've done your rebalancing, or if they've had a in-kind dividend or something like that. Also, the calculations for all of the things on the parts that is visible are all down below. So if you really would like to see dollar amounts, or you'd like to see your total portfolio net worth or anything like that, feel free to just cut and paste from below. They're on the second and third sheets, and just put them where they're more prominent for you. So how does it work? Let me go to the thing the spreadsheet as you will download it. It'll make a copy and it should look something like this. And when I say only to update in bold, this would be it. These boxes here and this one here. So just to give an example, I might go like this and have long-term treasuries. And very important that I put in the ticker symbol because that's how the prices are updated. So I would continue on for as many assets as you have. There are 10 columns here. If you have more than that, you can just go to Insert and go to Columns. And let's say you're on column I, and you click it when you're on that button, and then make one to the right, and then you would basically copy or drag copy the formulas by taking something like this and just pulling it over to the right, and that will fill in for that new column. All right, so after you've put in your assets and all the information there, you'll then have to decide on your target allocations. This of course will equal 100, so if we've done this, I'll just do the classic 60-40 for example, and then I would put in how many shares I own. Let's say I own 10 of that and I own 18 of that, and that's all I'd have to do all the way across. And then lastly, I'll have to decide on my tolerance band. The default here is 20%. That seems to be what's accepted as a reasonable deviation from your allocation in relative terms. If you'd like to, you can change that though as well. All right, I have taken the liberty of filling one out so it looks a bit more realistic with 8 different asset classes. I put them in here. I have this target allocation. In this case, if this were my own, I would erase L&M by deleting those columns so they didn't mess up the visuals of it. I put in my tolerance band at 20, and the way I've structured it here with these amounts of shares is that everything is kind of as it would be at the beginning. Everything is well within its range and nothing needs to be rebalanced. But let's say that instead of 322 shares of commodities, actually I had 400. So I'll put that in a second. Right here, the main information is here at the bottom. Do I need to rebalance? No. But if I didn't have 322, I actually had 400, then given prices, yes, I would need to rebalance. This red would just be my signal that I need to look at one of the other sheets and decide on whether I want complete or partial. So if I were here on the complete rebalancing, it looks like this. Because I am readjusting every asset in my portfolio, every one of them is either sold or bought. And in this case, I'd have 5 to sell and 3 to buy. One issue here is that these numbers are all rounded down. So when you do your rebalancing, there probably will be some excess, like say cash. If you've sold all these things first and then you buy in these amounts, quite likely there still will be a little bit left over because you're rounding down. If you use a brokerage that has partial shares, this won't happen. You can carry it out to more decimal places easily by using that button there. But at the simplest way, you just do whole numbers and then have a little bit left over, which you could put where you felt it needed to go. With the partial rebalancing, you'll see it's much more limited. In this case, I would just be selling commodities because it was so high, and then I would take that money and put in 18 shares of EGLT and 5 shares of GLDM. So this is what I use in real life because it's just it's not as much work, to be honest. Now, I can show you this. If my tolerance band is different, if it's, let's say this is an extreme, but let's say it's 40%, you'll notice this case I don't have to rebalance at all. Meanwhile, if it's at 5%, which is very, very narrow tolerance band, you'll watch that, okay, in this case 5 popped up as being past that number. So I suggest 20%, 25% would be fine as well. It kind of depends on how often you want to rebalance. If you're using a calendar-based system, you probably don't need to worry about it. If you're using a calendar-based system, you could just almost skip this cover sheet and sort of worrying about it and just go right to the complete or partial rebalancing as you like. And that is pretty much it. Okay, so this is version 1.0 of this tool. So I'd love to hear your suggestions for improvement, keeping in mind the basic desire here is to keep it simple and easy to use. Trust me, there's a lot of things I could put in there and have in my real life spreadsheet, but this is a simplified version, and feel free to improve it as you like and send me any suggestions you have. You can read more about risk parity at riskparitychronicles.com. You can email me at riskparitychronicles@gmail.com and also find me on Twitter at rp_chronicles. Thanks. Bye-bye.